for
Sorry, just going to record.
that approach that's not just good for our businesses to drive revenue or to drive brand and reputation, but also has an additional benefit out in society, in our communities, and across the globe. And I think today is one of those exciting topics around gift giving with impact. And I'm excited because we have three incredible leaders in the space. We have the founder, the founder and CEO of Gifts for Good, the founder and CEO of Grateful Giving, and the co-founder and managing director of Tis Best here. And I'm going to give them a deeper introduction in just a second. But we wanted to bring everyone together. Why in September? Because gift giving, the biggest part of gift giving, is right around the corner. And so many of us, as we think through end of the year gifts and how we think through corporate giving, this is really the time of the year that we need to be thinking about this and putting this into our plans. And what's been so amazing to me, I was reading this piece on Forbes earlier that said that in 2023, the corporate gift giving market is $242 billion globally. Now, that number is staggering in and of itself, but when you look and say that pre-pandemic, it was about 125 billion, the growth here is incredible. And if we have growth in corporate gift giving, wouldn't it be interesting if those gifts were having an additional impact other than just the joy for the recipient? What if it had more of an impact beyond that? And that's what today's about. That's what we're going to be covering here today. And so with that, a couple of quick housekeeping items. We're going to go through, each of our leaders is going to give us a little bit about their organization. And then after that, I'm going to come back and do kind of a formal Q&A. But during that time, please feel free in the chat to put any questions that might come up. And I'll make sure to work you in. We've done this before. You guys know how this goes. But then also, if you want to, X out of this, I don't even know what they call it anymore. Threads, X, Instagram, whatever you're going to do on social, please just use the hashtag comms4change. And I'd even encourage you to tag some of the executives here and their companies. And if you look in the chat, we're going to have links to all their corporate sites as well. With that, if you're comfortable, I want to dig in. I want to get right to it. So let me start off by introducing Laura Hertz, who is the CEO and founder of Gifts for Good. And I think doing good was just always a part of Laura. I mean, I'm reading her bio, and she's in high school up in New York, and she coordinates a whole group to go down to New Orleans to really help those impacted by Katrina. I mean, think of that young age and that having such an impact that you pause going off to college and instead you enlist and serve in AmeriCorps. You go back to college at UC Berkeley, you get your degree, you go off to a Big Four accounting firm, and what do you see? You see corporate gifting that is very swag driven and probably, let's face it, temporary between a desk and a garbage can at some point, right? And starts to think there's a different way of doing gifts. She goes back to business school at USC and Marshall School of Business, and that's where Gifts for Good is born. And with that, I'd love to turn it over to you, Lauren, so you could give us a little bit more details.
Thank you, Brad, for that wonderful introduction. Super excited to be here with you all today. Yes, my business was born in a classroom in business school. So one of those group projects that really actually came to life. And here we are 8 years later, really making a global impact. So we're Gifts for Good. We offer both personal and corporate gifts that give back. We partner with over 50 different nonprofits and social enterprises whose products we sell, and we're impacting lives in all 50 states, as well as 72 countries globally. All of our gifts come with a little social impact story card. They talk about how they're changing someone's life. So you really get to read the story behind the product and know the impact that it's making on someone's life. We're specifically focused on corporate gifts for employees and clients. So getting companies away from kind of that cheap junk drawer promotional swag, so we can give gifts with purpose and meaning and that tell a story far beyond what you typically see with the swag, kind of stress balls and fruit baskets. We're doing so much more than that. So we offer a couple different services for companies. We have our e-commerce marketplace online where both individuals and corporate buyers can shop. We also offer custom gift boxes for companies. So if you want to take multiple products and put them into a gift box, for example, a notebook and water bottle, we do that all with Impact. And our fulfillment center is actually run by Goodwill of Southern California. So our products give back, but so does our fulfillment process as well. We hire veterans, people with disabilities who actually kit and assemble all of our gifts and products. And we also help companies to give branded merchandise that gives back as well. So we offer thousands of products, for example, a water bottle that'll be handmade and offer clean drinking water in developing countries, or we can do branded notebooks that are handcrafted by women coming out of human trafficking. Everything has kind of a beautiful story behind it and helps to elevate a nonprofit or social enterprise maker around the world. And we also offer an online gifting platform, which Brad is actually a customer of, and that's how we got connected. That's really the majority of what we do in the corporate space. And that offers a choice of different gifts and charities for companies to choose through email. So for a lot of companies that really took off during COVID, as you can imagine, with so many people working from home. So we were able to deliver gifts through email, and you can enter your own shipping address. So it's a nice solution for really gifting year round and kind of making that easier. So thanks for being here today. Very excited to chat on how we can add impact to gifting.
Thank you very much, Laura. That was a great way to kick us off. I'd like to now introduce Matt Ostanek, who is the founder and CEO of Grateful Giving. And I love this. Grateful's vision is every time you spend money, they would like a portion to be used to provide food for the hungry, shelter for the homeless, and help in other needs as well. I mean, I love how aspirational that is. Matt, prior to starting Grateful Giving, had a whole entire career. I mean, launched 3 startup organizations, one called Submittal Exchange, FunnelWise, and Charette Venture Group. I may be getting that name mixed up a little bit. Sorry if I did. But one of the things, like a lot of great successful entrepreneurs and business leaders, Submittal Exchange was acquired by a larger company, goes public, and then now is a part of Oracle, I guess. I mean, so, you know, what a great story and what a great leader you are, Matt. And so I'd love to turn it over to you to tell us a little bit more about Grateful.
Thank you, Brad. Thanks for the kind intro, and really appreciate the invitation to be part of the panel today. Looking forward to our discussion here. My background is as a technologist, and Grateful is a software platform for doing good, as you alluded to with our vision statement there as well. I've started several previous companies, as you mentioned. They were all more traditional for-profit software startups. We live in, I feel like this is my normal pitch, by the way, but I feel like I'm preaching to the choir with our other panelists in the audience here today, but we live in such challenging times. There's so many problems in our world today. When you look at the numbers and the impact of issues like hunger and homelessness and poverty and crime and education, and the list goes on, right? I personally feel like, and the reason I started Grateful was out of a desire to use technology to improve lives. That's really it, to drive more good and to help other nonprofits that are making an amazing impact in our communities as well. Grateful software platform does 2 things. We do charitable giving cards, virtual charitable giving cards. In traditional corporate gifting, we work with businesses that use those giving cards with their employees, with their clients. And when you receive a Grateful Giving card, you can select from a database of every US 501c3 nonprofit. So roughly 2 million different organizations to choose to give those dollars to. Very impactful giving, both for those nonprofits and for the recipients. In addition, our aspirations with the platform tie back to that vision statement that you read at the beginning, Brad. Thank you again for reading that for us. But really, we're trying to work with businesses that want to bake giving into their business model, not just giving to their clients and employees, but giving back to the world at large. And we're really trying to provide technology that makes that as easy and automated as breathing. So we're working with a growing number of businesses that choose to donate like 0.5% or 1% of their sales and integrate with the Grateful software to do that automatically every time a customer purchases from them as well. I know our discussion today is more around corporate gifting, so I'll focus more on that side of it when we talk about other questions, but those are the two things that Grateful does. And I appreciate the opportunity to be here again today. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt. That's wonderful. Thank you so much. And then I'm really grateful to a gentleman who's on this call. His name is Ted Deutsch. He's the CEO of Taft, and has the good benefit of working with this next leader and introduced us. And that is Simeon Cathy, who is the co-founder and managing director of Tis Best. And listen, I mean, this gifting has been around. It's an important aspect. They launched Tis Best in 2007. And one of the things I love about these mission statements, I love this. Launch Tis Best as a way for people to replace giving stuff with gifts for good. I mean, like how, like this, I love the inspiration that's behind all this. And not that dissimilar to Matt, Simeon spent a whole entire career in technology before, and was a technology designer, also built applications for document management and information management for businesses. And this one, I'm sure, is on everyone's list as well, was the co-author of the Microsoft SharePoint Server 2007 Bible. And today he leads the whole entire company. And this is also what says a lot about just where we are in our, post-COVID. He leads the whole company from Maui, in which seems perfect based on everything I've read, Simeon, about your, intersecting your passions for good and running the company, but also supporting passions for sailing and scuba diving and surfing. So we're super excited to have you on this discussion as well. So I'll turn it over for you to talk about Tis Best.
Oh, thanks, Brad. And I just want to thank you guys and Taft, Ted, for inviting us into this experience. It's always fun to come in and share stories with people about where we come from and why we're here. As Brad said, in 2007, we started back then, and it was kind of born out of a little bit of frustration. We were building big technology platforms for companies like Microsoft and feeling a little disconnected from our even local community. So myself and all my employees brainstormed on how we could give back and just reconnect after staring at a computer for months on end. And that's when we came up with ideas for going to the local soup kitchen or the children's hospital. And that's when I kind of realized that with technology, we can really scale giving. And when talking to some local nonprofits and places where we could contribute, I also realized that charities just don't get the kind of funding they deserve to do good. And thought, well, let's raise some money. Turns out it's hard to figure out how to give money to charities. Charities are great at their mission, but they're not necessarily great at exposing the place where you can go give them money and support them. So we took technology, which we know can change massive organizations, and applied it to a cause of good, get money to charities. The other experience I'd had at that moment was trying to buy a gift for somebody who had everything. And I had received a $50 gift, a donation in my name for I think it was for some package in Somalia to give some food to some children. And I thought, well, that was nice of somebody to give in my name, but what if we could invent something where I could give that money to somebody that could choose where it goes? So we invented the charity gift card. It's just like any other gift card that you've all received for Starbucks or the Amazons of the world. But instead of buying something for yourself, you actually pay that forward and choose from any one of 1.5 million charities in the US IRS database. So we are a nonprofit. So we take that money in and then we distribute it where people want it to go. We've been alive now for 15 years. We've grown 10x in the last 6 years. I think a lot of that's due to COVID, people feeling trapped and wanting to give back. And we've also seen this kind of organic transition from consumer gifts, where people are just buying it from friends and family, to a lot of corporate giving. And I think that's where the power is really starting to swell, and we're seeing a lot of growth. So I'm excited to, I'll give you guys a couple sound bites for the comms people out there. $16 billion is spent every year on unwanted gifts during the holiday season. more money is spent on candy during the holiday season than the combined annual budgets of Habitat for Humanity, American Cancer Association, and American AIDS Foundation. So that is a huge amount of money that is just getting kind of put in a direction that ends up regifted or unwanted, that I think if we can just take slices of that and move it to impactful giving, and where the power is in businesses, I think that's going to be a big win for all of us here.
Simeon, that is great. All three of you, thank you so much for starting us off and getting us kind of set up in a real meaningful way. One of the reasons why we wanted to have this conversation here for Impact Council is all of us in communications often have the ability to influence our corporate gift giving for our companies. And some of you who might be in agencies working with nonprofits may also see opportunities as this is a channel for development as well. So really want to get into this, and we've got some questions. The first one I'm going to just open up to all three of you, which is starting at a high level. What would you say from a corporate giving perspective? What are the benefits of rethinking that corporate gift giving right now? And you know, Simeon, since you had to wait the longest last time, why don't we start with you?
You're on mute still, Simeon.
I didn't click fast enough. I think too, I mean, there's so many great benefits, but one is just the science behind this. Giving somebody a gift to spend on themselves can make somebody a little bit happier and feel grateful. Giving somebody a gift that they can then pay forward and give to somebody else makes them way happier. There's science that proves that. And I think that it's, I mean, the proof is on our wall in our office in Seattle. We do have an actual office where we print our cards. We have an entire wall covered in companies' employees, companies' CEOs, and charities of thank you cards. So I think it's, you know, it's pretty clear there's a lot of benefit there beyond the typical fruit basket.
Got it.
I was going to say the fruit basket is the quintessential classic
Yes.
Christmas corporate gift. And it's so nice to see how far we've come from that plastic wrapped fruit basket.
And Laura, why don't you jump in next?
Yeah, Simeon, I'm just going to echo, I think, a lot of what you were saying. I think the statistics were really the reason behind why I started this. I was in business school. As you said, Brad, I was at one of the big four. I was getting just all of this kind of corporate swag that I saw literally in a pull-out drawer in the office where I would work as an auditor at Deloitte. And when I started looking into the statistics, $100 billion is spent annually on corporate gifts in the US. And it's estimated that 50% of corporate gifts end up in a landfill within 2 years. So that's $50 billion going into the drain. And to put that in perspective, companies only donate around 18 billion a year to charity just in the US. So 100 billion being spent on corporate gifts, 18 billion going to nonprofits by companies. So I just thought these statistics don't even make sense to me. What if we took this money companies are already spending and use it as a force for good? And for me, just it makes complete sense, right? This is a line item on every company's budget. They all give employee and client gifts. So take this money you're already spending and use it as a force for good. And not only does it help the company to look better, they can market that they're doing good, that they're helping their community and nonprofits, but it also is more meaningful to their employees or clients when they get something that gives back and tells a story. So I think it's just a win-win-win all around by kind of rethinking the way that you can do both corporate and individual gift giving during the holidays.
I want to give a firsthand testimony and plug to you, Laura, because we actually used Gift for Good last year and it streamlined our gift giving operation in such a significant way. I was chatting with our ops manager before this call to just kind of reflect on the past 12 years, how we've been giving gifts. Some of the things that we had to do in the past before you came to market. We were B Corp, so we wanted to support other B Corps. So we gave out Ben and Jerry's brownies or Greyston brownies and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But then we had to track down the B Corps and go and buy them, send them here, then ship them. There's a lot of like facilitation required. Locally made stuff. We had to go to each of the local cities where our clients were, figure out what's locally made, have something created. Then one year we paid off our clients carbon offsetting. And that was, it was pricey, but it was also just a ton of legwork for the clients to get to us how much carbon they used that year. So last year we used Gifts for Good, and it was like, oh my God, why didn't this exist before? And some of our clients did donations to charities of their choice. Some of them picked the gift that they wanted, and it was just really streamlined in the most beautiful way and made it very, very easy. So thank you.
Thank you.
My
Thank you for
operations
sharing
manager,
that.
Jenna, she thanks you too.
Thank you guys. That's the goal, right? We want to make it easier, but also more meaningful and more impactful. So thanks.
Yeah.
Well, and who knew about how complex corporate gift giving can really be? I mean, but it has gotten, in my opinion, it's gotten more and more complex. Matt, I'd like to turn to you. In your opinion, what makes a good gift? Like, just like if we were just thinking broadly, like what makes a good gift?
Yeah, I'll answer that, Brad. Let me add a couple of thoughts on the previous question.
Please.
I'll roll them into one answer here for you as well. I wanted to comment. I love and I hate, but I love the statistics that Samina and Laura both shared here, right? Like they're powerful and impactful. I don't love them, what they say about our world today, but they also show what the opportunity is for the change, positive change that we can make in it as well. I wanted to add, I can't count the number of conversations that I've had in the past few years about people just being tired of the traditional Starbucks, Amazon gift cards, and bottles of wine add to the fruit basket as well. Like people are tired of that thing. And it's an opportunity for businesses with corporate gifting to move beyond that. And I do love that all three of the organizations here on the panel today represent great opportunities for companies to do that, to move beyond that. On the statistics side, a statistic that we've seen in our own research with grateful giving as well. Most people that we engage with do it because they want to give back positively to the world, but there is a benefit to businesses that do this type of gifting as well. And specifically the data we've gathered so far is, not every single person in the world cares about giving or helping others, but most do. And in that audience, you will see, depends on the business, but you'll see a 15 to 17% increase in revenue and spend levels from those customers when you start to engage them with Gifts for Good as well. Gifts of giving back, because it really deeply resonates with people that hold this as part of their values, which is the majority of our world today as well. So there is a positive ROI in addition to the feel good from trying to give in an impactful way as well. Brad, can you repeat your last question for me real quick? Because I had a thought and I just forgot what it was.
What makes a good gift?
That was my thought. Thank you. I was going to add one of the things that we found that's powerful is the ability to personalize it as well. And I think all three of the organizations here on the call offer different ways to do that as well. But certainly what we've seen with Grateful is the ability to customize and personalize it. Again, versus the generic Starbucks gift card. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but when it comes to charitable gifting, to be able to pick something that really customizes to that person, or in the case, the way we approach it, is to allow that recipient to actually pick a cause that's close to their heart, right? There's a million great causes out there, but you don't oftentimes know as a person, do they care about hunger or homelessness or animals or veterans or children or a million other things. Letting them get to pick and direct the gift to that, and doing it to something that's local to them, no matter what part of the country they're in, can make it really powerful as well. And so it's a great way to make it a much more impactful gift.
Excellent. I'm going to start with Laura on this one, and I'm going off a little bit of the beaten path because we're on this concept of impact, the impact of the gifts that we're giving. For all three of your organizations, do you track impact? Do you track it, one, by overarching gifts and what you've done through your own organizations, but is it also tracked on a more micro level? If I'm just making this up, if I'm AT&T and sending out gifts through one of your organizations, do you show them the impact that they're having with their gifts as well? I'm just kind of curious. Maybe I'll tee that up for Laura first.
Yeah, great question, Brad. That's actually the most difficult thing that we do as a business. It was really core to what I wanted to do when I founded the business, was have a measurable impact for every single product that we sell. So for us, our impact is really built into the products because we source them from nonprofit and social enterprise makers. We're usually measuring either environmental or social impact at the product level. So for example, we might have a candle that's handmade by women refugees who've recently resettled in the US. We know that each candle takes about an hour of employment for that woman. We will measure that for each candle purchase and be able to give those statistics back to the company, however many meals they gave, however many months of clean drinking water, however many hours of employment. And it's a very difficult thing that we do because we set this up when we partner with a nonprofit or a social enterprise. And for a lot of them, they've actually never even measured impact down to the product level. They've maybe done it at a larger scale. So it's important for us in our partnerships to have that kind of micro level social impact, because what we do for companies is we give them either campaign level impact reports or quarterly or annual, and they'll share those statistics on social media or in their corporate social responsibility report. So it'll say, not only how many dollars you've given a charity, but how many hours of employment you've given to people transitioning out of homelessness, how many meals you've given, how many months of clean drinking water. And those statistics are just so powerful because, again, this is money you'd already be spending, but now you get to share these amazing statistics with it as well.
That's very cool. I'm wondering, Simeon or Matt, do you have anything to add here?
I have to agree with Laura that it's what we want to share with people, but it's like the hardest thing to collect. And we actually about 6 months ago went out and we registered on, I think, over 250 of our top charity distributors or charity websites for their newsletter, just so we could start to see a little bit about what they're doing, because people who give to these organizations want to understand where their money goes. But one key thing that we do is because we know that a lot of charities get money for really specific programs and causes, that money can get locked up. And so when we distribute, we just give it to them with no restrictions. So we know charities and nonprofits struggle to even survive. So we just give them the money and we report out. I'll give you an example. January's distribution was 7,699 checks we sent out to that many charities. So just make that. So when we report out on impact, we report out on what we were able to contribute and what our customers contributed to their bottom line. It's a tough one.
Question, Matt, do you have a good charity to plug regarding all of the Maui support that's been set up for the fires? Is there any organization that or that you guys are working with that we could go through? Because that's going to be a popular one this year. A lot of people wanting to support people affected by the fires in Maui.
Yeah, Lahaina Strong is a good one to look up, and I'll actually grab the link because there's a community website that has a bunch of them you can give to. I live 5 miles from the Lahaina fire, so it was felt it very personally.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put a link in the chat here.
Okay, I'll save all my other questions for the Q&A. I just wanted to get you while you're on the topic.
Appreciate that.
And I'm going to stay on this general topic here about the impact that we're making. But I also want to just say we're getting to that point. If you have some questions, start dumping them into the chat and I'll review them. But I'll start with Matt, because Matt, you had some great stats on the 15%, 17%, like maybe connection with customers, that kind of thing. I really want to get into the impact of this. How do employees feel either receiving a gift from their company this way, or how do they feel about their company that is engaged in gift giving this way? Does it impact employees? Does it impact customers? What do you see, and what does it look like? Is it more memorable?
Yeah, it's hugely impactful on both sides. I like the anecdote that Simeon shared earlier about thank you notes on their office wall, right? We have a feature in the Grateful Giving platform for virtual thank you notes. They don't have a wall of them, but we see the messages that come across when you receive a Grateful Giving card through the platform. You can send a thank you back to the organization, the company that sent it to you. It prompts you to explain a little, it's optional, but why you picked the group you did. Why do you care about this particular charity that you want to send the dollars to? And oh my gosh, it is so heartwarming, brings tears to your eyes on some of the messages that you actually see about why people are giving to the things they do and how it connects with their hearts to have a business that they're engaged with that is willing to help support them. On our platform, about 30% of the companies that we work with use it with their employees. So it's not our main focus. Our main focus is more on customer and client giving, but certainly on the employee side, it's a terrific added benefit, right, for workplace culture. It's harder to measure the impact on the employee side because it's not the only thing that contributes to workplace culture. There are many other components of that as well, but it certainly is very, very important from a cultural standpoint. It can be a very powerful expression of the business's values. And then certainly on the customer and client side, it's hugely impactful. And I do think, you know, on the employee side, people have gotten more used to internal programs around employee giving. They're not everywhere. We need more of those, but in general, like it's not unheard of either. On the customer side, the client side, it is more of a new thing. So it's even more impactful. It's a way to connect with their hearts. It's a way to make a meaningful impact, but it's also a way to stand out, to say that your company and your brand is different and doing something different than everybody else. And so that adds a lot of value to it as well.
And Simeon, I know you have a pretty strong point of view on how this creates stronger bonds, either with employees or customers. Love to get your take on this as well.
Yeah, it's fascinating data to look at. Our corporate purchasers who give to their employees or their clients or use gift cards as incentives for their clients to give them referrals. The person who receives the gift card and then go spend it, they have a choice to share what they spent it on and leave a thank you message for the purchaser. And businesses, not just charity impact to nonprofits and good in the world, but businesses get to learn what their employees actually care about. You know, we talk about all the tasks we're going to complete and the goals we're going to hit and the metrics we're going to measure. And when you actually see what your employees care about, it's fascinating and it creates conversations. It contributes to positive workplace culture, as Matt said. I think it's such a great experience. I mean, giving somebody a cutting board with their initials engraved in it, you're probably not going to get a lot of information back about your employee population.
That's fair. That's fair. Laura, do you have anything that you'd like to add on this?
Yeah, I think one of my favorite surveys we did last year with KPMG, one of the big four, and we were able to survey almost 20,000 people. And we asked them the question of whether gifting with impact helps instill a greater pride in their company. And an overwhelming 94% said that it makes an impact. It makes them proud to work for the company that they work for. And I think we definitely see that. Of course, it's more memorable, but it also just improves retention. So I think it's good and it makes sense at the end of the day for a company. So if you're talking about dollars, I see someone put in the chat, how do you kind of get buy-in on these things? When it improves retention and it just makes sense for the business's bottom line, it's usually easier to really get that buy-in. So not only do people love it, I think for us, it's a little bit easier because we offer physical products and they're beautiful and premium. And so you're taking you may have already been buying a cutting board, as Simeon said, for someone personalized, but we can do that now with a cutting board that's handmade by someone transitioning out of homelessness. And it's beautiful and it's premium and it's not your typical kind of fair trade bracelet that's going to fall apart. These are beautiful products, and then they instill a greater pride in the organization too.
Or are the employees able to choose what gift they receive, or is that for the employer to?
So on one of our platforms that we offer is called Gift Forward, and that's where we offer an online gifting platform where companies can send a gift choice through email, where you can either choose a physical product that gives back that's made by a nonprofit or social enterprise, or you can give directly to a charity. So for example, you could choose a cutting board or a blanket, or to give 50 meals to a child in need. And that option is amazing because at the end of the day, not everyone needs another, cutting board, as you said, or another water bottle. Sometimes they just love to be able to support and give back to a nonprofit, just like you guys do. So I think that gift choice makes a really big impact too.
I think that overwhelmingly, that's what we've heard is employees saying, I am so blown away that my employer gave me the choice to do what I want with these funds or what gift I want to receive. And that's a really special moment. I think it shows your employer really cares about your opinion, not just putting something in your face.
I want to bring in one of our audience members, Tu, if I'm saying that correctly. Tu, yep.
Yes.
Would you please ask your question?
I would like to know if we can like personalize or brand this merchandise to make it, more personal for the receiver.
Yeah, for our online catalog, you can brand, I think, almost 90% of our products with a corporate logo or personalize them with like a city that someone lives in or someone's name. So nearly everything that we offer can be personalized, either on the product level or also in like a custom gift box. So we can add a branded note card, a custom magazine, anything that you need into products, and the products themselves can also be branded.
Anyone
I want
else?
to just build on that, Laura, and give a plug. There's a couple people in the audience, Hiroshi and Satomi from Japan. They actually started the first impact relations and impact communications agency in Japan about 8 years ago. It's called Hitsboshu Kozu, pardon, and it means little drop. So every little drop in the ocean makes a big difference. And they came and visited us in Vancouver yesterday, and they brought a corporate, responsibly produced corporate swag gift that's branded, and it's little like surface cleaners, so little sheets. You put it in water, and I was just so happy to get something that we're going to use, and it's beautifully produced, labeled, it has their brand on it. So I wanted to give them a shout out because they're actually on this call today, and it's just a really great example of nice swag and a reminder that it's not only the holiday season that we're giving responsible gifts, but it's year round. So we like to give gifts to our clients if it's like a milestone anniversary, if we've been working with them for 5 years, if they have a big landmark or an achievement, or somebody got promoted, we'll give a responsible gift. So it is also nice to just think about how you can be doing those things around the year. So I'm sure you guys probably have a mass surge in the holiday season, and then it dies down. So it's nice to kind of know when are other opportune moments to be doing gift giving.
Yeah, on our platform, I mentioned that we went from kind of consumer gifts to getting more and more corporate clients. And so our gift cards are all customizable. You can put whatever picture or logo you want them. And the spend experience, when somebody goes through the process of searching through the charity database and choosing their charities, that entire experience can be branded with your own welcome message, your own video, whatever branding that you want, and even sort of which causes your business maybe is supporting that year. So if it's hunger or it's animal based, you can list out specific charities for them.
Right.
I'd like to go back. Laura touched on this a bit, but I'd like to bring Brittany into the conversation and start with you, Matt. Brittany, you go ahead and ask your question. I think this is really, really important.
Yeah, hi, Brad. Good to see you. And thanks, everyone else. This has been great. For me personally, one of the challenges is that people are very set in their ways. And I have some people who really they love giving stuff, but we struggle with that whole idea that, okay, less is more. The first R in reduce, reuse, recycle is really refuse, and sort of scaling a lot of that down. And also just the reality of shifting away from maybe some of the most typical products. People, oh, I'm going to a trade show or I'm going to a conference. I want highlighters, or I want stress balls, or I want the stuff that I've always given out. So do you have any insight or any recommendations you've given to your clients before of how to get everyone on board with sort of making that shift?
That can be hard. It could be a hard transition. It's a good question. I don't know there's an easy answer to that. Yeah, I'm less stuff oriented, and I think others are here as well. So, but I understand that there's many folks that are more oriented than that with the history of it. Like you said, I think if I was talking to someone that was considering Grateful Giving for it, I would say do both. Do a small physical item and do a Grateful Giving card. Do a combo. That way you're getting the best of both worlds. Is one way to handle it. Now, our business is more technology and virtual focused. I think after hearing this call today, I would also say go contact Gifts for Good, because it sounds like there's many things where you've actually got impactful things versus things that are just stuff for the sake of stuff as well. I'm not sure if that's a great answer, but the Gifts for Good answer is a good one. But those are my two thoughts in reaction to that question.
Brad, you're on mute.
I'll just say, I saw you come off mute. I wanted to know if you want to jump in on this.
Yeah, just a comment. In my previous life, one of my jobs was technology change management for large organizations. And I think changing people's perspective is a huge challenge, whether it's for good or it's changing it for efficiency or whatever it is. And so creating any movement, I think, and that's the key. Changing from one behavior to another, moving from one position to another is just tough. So getting people involved, the early adopters, the people who are always looking for change, find out who those people are, get them excited. The laggers, they're going to wait until they're the last persons who think a physical gift is the right thing, but they'll finally follow on and they'll be the last people to leave once they're there, supporting gifts of good. But I think that's the key, is finding those people who are looking for, identifying them. They're your champions. Create some movement and build that wave.
Well, and let me just, tee this up, because I think there are a lot of trends really moving in this direction. And the three of you are experts in this, but just, from a customer point of view, right? As a giver at the end of the year, which I think most of us are on this session, there was a practical element too, of shifting to a solution like this with like a Gifts for Good or Grateful Giving or Tis Best. Part of it was, we're not just sending one giant gift basket to one address. Like that day's kind of gone, right? I mean, we don't know. I mean, for the previous 3 years, we didn't know where our customers were, or where our, we knew where our employees were, but you know what I'm saying? Like, and then having to reach out to a customer, it's a really big ask. Can you give me your personal address? And some, oh yeah, for sure, here's my address. Others, you could tell they're like, I don't know, like, we've got a relationship, but like, do I really want everyone having my personal information? Like, so this virtual kind of gifting with all this impact, but I'm sure there were other trends that have lifted this up as well. And maybe you want to talk about that. And then also, I wouldn't mind if you all wouldn't mind incorporating, Melissa teed us up that, yes, end of the year gift giving is probably the largest time. Give us some brain, help us get creative of when are the other times that gifts have a really big impact, that you show up in surprise or show up in delight in different ways. Love to get your read on that. Maybe we'll start with Matt.
Okay.
Matt, will you kick us off on this one?
I will, yes. I'm thinking of a good answer on that as well. I guess one thing that hasn't been, two completely different thoughts here. One thing that hasn't been explicitly said, but I'll say, there are generational components to this as well. My experience has been that every generation has interest in giving and caring, right? It's not like the fundamental interest is changing, but certainly willingness to talk about it, to acknowledge it publicly, to talk about the impact that businesses are having, and just to think about the importance of addressing the challenges in our world today. I think younger generations are more public about that as well. I've had a number of conversations in past years with, current or former business owners that are more, either don't think businesses should just focus on making money and not worry about giving back, or that if they're giving back, it should be strictly private and not something you ever talk about publicly. I don't agree with either of those things, but I've heard those opinions. They tend to be correlated with, not exclusively, but certainly folks of perhaps an older age as well. Whereas I think younger generations are more open to, yeah, this is what businesses should do. We should be tackling these problems head on, and we should be talking about it and sharing it and trying to focus on impact as well. So that influences a little bit of perhaps attitudes around how we're doing gifting. It's not really an answer other than the world is changing, and there is a growing movement around all of this, as it is illustrated today here as well. In terms of giving throughout the year, absolutely critically important. Yes, there's a huge focus on end of year. It should be, but it needs to be throughout the year as well. We've worked with a number of businesses who successfully give throughout the year in recognition of special occasions, right? So anniversaries and birthdays. We have one client of ours who's a financial advisor that does gifting for clients throughout the year on their birthdays. Fantastic program, spreads it out year round. A great way to connect with their clients in a deeper, more impactful level. But it spreads it away from that holiday emphasis and does it year round. And we're able to automate almost all the work around that with our software tools for them to do that as well. I mentioned early on, we're also working with more businesses with Grateful Giving that focus on giving a small portion of their revenue on ongoing automated way. Then it becomes a marketing advantage for them, in addition to a great way to increase their impact as well. Brad, I think you're muted again.
Laura, would you like to add anything to that?
Of course. Yeah, I think gifting throughout the year is probably the biggest thing that I need to usually educate people on when they're looking at kind of revamping their corporate gifting strategy. 95% of companies do corporate gifting in December. It's the worst time to do it. People are traveling. People are extremely busy with family and events. Most of the time, people aren't even in their office. They're sending a gift basket. No one even opens it, and they open it, the third week of January when they're back. I usually always recommend gifting if you can before Thanksgiving. It's the best time to do it, just from like a gratitude perspective. People are getting less gifts during that time period, so the return on investment is exponentially higher. So if you're going to do kind of year-end gifting, I always recommend before Thanksgiving if possible. And when it comes to gifting throughout the year, of course, birthdays and work anniversaries, we do a lot of, but even better than that is to surprise and delight people and to give them a gift when they're really not expecting to receive a gift. So when we strategically work with companies, we really look at positioning gifts throughout the year during times when people aren't expecting them. So we'll look at, summer gifts. No one gets a gift in the summer. People are all happy. They love it when they get a gift in the summer completely unexpectedly. And you can look at fun occasions and holidays, everything from St. Patrick's Day to World Kindness Day, holidays where people aren't even expecting to get a gift, but they get so excited about it. So I usually recommend look at the times when people aren't giving gifts and give then, because the return on investment will be a lot higher.
Excellent. Excellent. Simeon, you want to add anything here? Or if not, I've got another question. I
just want to underscore what Laura said. Delight and surprise. I think a good gift is usually thoughtful. It's the thought that counts, people always say. It's meaningful. And if it's a surprise, it's even more special. So any time is a great time to give a gift. Obviously, the holiday season is the big time of year for us. But for corporate gifting, I think it's sort of like shouting in a crowd of people and trying to get somebody's attention if you're doing it during the holiday season. So doing it, at a quarterly end or at some other milestone period where it's more meaningful would be my advice.
That's great. I do want to, come back directly to you, Simeon, on this question. A lot of people on this call are either from a nonprofit or represent nonprofits, work with nonprofits through with marketing and communications. It seems like each and every one of you have nonprofit partners. How would we bring a potential partner to you, or how do you consider potential nonprofit partners? And is there a channel for that? Is this a legitimate marketing opportunity for people like us on this call to bring you potential additional partners?
Yeah, I think I'm going to answer this question a little differently than probably Matt or Laura, because we download the IRS database each month and kind of true up our search engine and database. So any nonprofit that's qualified by the IRS can be in our database. Now, that said, yes, please bring us your stories, your impact stories, your somebody that you're proud of, some nonprofit you're proud of, because we love to tell those stories on our social media, in our blog posts, and celebrate the impact that those organizations are creating. We are moving towards a little bit of a different model where we're going to focus on causes. So if something is happening in the world and there are charities that are supporting or nonprofits that are supporting those causes, we're going to try to roll those up. So nominating organizations that are doing good in the world so that we can elevate them. We'd love that.
Excellent. Thank you. And Laura, give us your point of view on this from a Gifts from Good perspective.
Yeah, we have a pretty different process, I would say. We call our partners our cause partners. I'll throw a link in the chat. Usually takes about 6 to 12 months to become a partner with us if you're eligible, and we have a pretty in-depth two-stage process. We really want to make sure we're not only verifying social impact, but that a nonprofit or social enterprise is the right fit for us. And usually that'll mean you have to have some sort of scale for corporate gifting. For a lot of them, they might be able to customize their products with corporate logos. If you're a nonprofit that's just looking specifically for grants, we actually do targeted grants for specific programs. So what that means is we need to be able to measure the social impact of each dollar when we work with you. So for example, we work with the American Cancer Society, and we provide a number of rides to cancer treatment for cancer patients, or we're measuring the number of meals given for $50. So a little bit different than TISBEST, I think, in that we are funding more specific programs specifically for our nonprofits, and not every nonprofit can do that. So if you're interested in applying, we're always looking at expanding our catalog and causes, and I threw a link in the chat.
Matt, what would you like to add here?
I don't have a lot to add. I like, Laura, I like your approach. Makes a lot of sense for your type of platform as well. Grateful Giving's approach is more similar. We follow the TISBEST model as well. We use the IRS database. You can give to any 501c3 through it. In our type of model, it's really important that people can pick stuff that they care about, that we're not limiting them. And oftentimes they find things local to them. The vast majority of gifts go to some place local to them. So your client could be on the other side of the country, but we want them to be able to give to their local food pantry, or homeless shelter, or animal shelter, or veterans group, or anything else. So our type of approach, similar to TISBEST, really supports and allows that.
That is excellent. I'm going to do a final speed round for each of you. What one big takeaway would you want this audience to be considering? One thing that they should be thinking about gift giving differently this year and beyond? And Simeon, let's start with you.
One thing to take away, I think, is that nonprofits' budgets are majority of their budgets is made up by hundreds of thousands of small donations. So when you're thinking about giving a gift, consider a gift that gives back to charity, because every $5, $10, $20 counts. And all three of us here on this panel today are focused on making the world a better place. So go through our websites and take a look and just see how easy it is to share a little joy with somebody that you care about, and also be a responsible and a good gift for the world.
Awesome. Thank you, Simeon. Matt, turn to you next.
I think there's great opportunities here. I agree. All three platforms here and others as well offer great opportunities to do this. Now's the time to start. If your business has already done some of this, then you're already learning and hopefully learned about some new opportunities today. And if you've not done it before, now's the time to start. It doesn't even have to be your entire gifting budget. It can be a portion of it, can be a hybrid, a combination, but now's the time to jump in. I think this discussion today is perfectly timed to help do that.
Awesome. Awesome. And Laura.
Yeah, my vision is to just create a world, I think, where every personal and corporate gift gives back. There's so many opportunities to think about that differently when it comes to both personal and corporate gifting. So just say, anytime you're buying a gift moving forward, try to do it from an organization that gives back. You can do a direct donation, or you can buy beautiful products that are made by nonprofits and social enterprises to help fund their mission. So I think really just looking at ways that you can integrate that into your day-to-day operations is really, really impactful. And there's so many ways to take this money companies are already spending, or that you're already spending, and use it as a force for good. So
I absolutely cannot tell you how much I appreciate each and every one of you and all these great insights, these great lessons. And quite frankly, it might seem just kind of like, really, we're tackling this, but we're tackling this because there's so much opportunity to impact the world through an activity that was stated earlier, that a lot of it goes to waste. And what if it didn't? And what if it went for good? And I couldn't be more excited to have the three of you join us today. Your leadership is outstanding. We're very thankful as an organization.
Thank you so much.
So if we can, let's give a round of applause to everyone. And then one quick housekeeping item for everyone, and that is we have our next session already set up. It is going to be on Wednesday, October 4th And it is really getting into the future of ESG, and we're going to get into language, folks. We're going to get into language. And if you don't know this gentleman, his name's Michael Maslansky. He's one of the true experts in language, and they've done a ton of research in ESG language. And this is going to be for absolutely everyone. They're finding what language resonates and what ends up being as we all know, can get you into some hot water right now in terms of how people are reacting to ESG. This is going to be a really great session. Please mark your calendars for Wednesday, October 4th. Same time, it's 9 a.m. Pacific, noon Eastern, and we appreciate and look forward to seeing you. It's in the chat. We are at time, so Melissa, any final closing thoughts?
No, thank you everyone for joining, and the Eventbrite link for the next Impact Council next week is in the chat. If you scroll up, I'll just put it at the bottom too. This is the ESG, and look forward to seeing all you again. Thanks to our speakers and thanks to our moderator.
Thank you all.
Everyone.
Have a great
All right.
Thank you.
day.